we're gonna wait another second. Okay. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing a 2022 Rivian R1T. Yes, the day has finally come for me to review the coolest pickup truck ever made, potentially. Anyways, a huge shout out and thank you to the Southtown Imports here in Sandy, Utah for giving me some time with this Rivian R1T. This one is available for sale if you're interested. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get right into the video. Now before we get into anything, we have to go over some performance specs. So we have 4 electric motors, that's 1 per wheel on the R1T. Total system output 835 horsepower and then 908 pound-feet of torque with a full electric driving range of 314 miles. Now we're starting off by looking at the key fob here with the R1T because this is how you open up the front. You guys can see the logo there on the back. So just press this twice and it'll automatically pop right open, which is really cool. You can see storage space in here is actually really solid. Again, this is not a massive truck, but definitely has some practicality here, and there's a lot of goodies that come with the truck from the factory. We'll kind of get into detail with some of them. And the cool thing about this is you press this again, and it'll lower down for you, which, I don't know, I think that's pretty nifty. Now, going over the rest of the front of the R1T, you can see you've got the Rivian logo here, front and center, and then we have the giant light bar here in the center, and then you guys can see all of the headlights. Quite a bit happening here. I love how they're like all stacked on top of each other, and then also got the fog lights down below that whole section. Parking sensors here on the front bumpers. We've got tow hooks, and we also have some skid plates down below as well. And you know, again, very interesting from an appearance standpoint. It looks kind of funny on video, kind of funny in pictures, but in person it actually works. Coming around the side here, we've got 275mm tires wrapped on 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And this is a pretty interesting setup. So you guys can see we've got these massive brakes. Again, when you have over 800 horsepower, you need a lot of stopping power. And so that's why we have a larger sized wheel on an off-road type truck. And you can see these tires are actually really aggressive. And then here's a quick look at the front suspension. Now this does have air suspension, and in its highest ride height setting, this has 15 inches of ground clearance. Just to give you guys a reference point, my Ford Raptor with 37-inch tires from the factory has 13.1 inches of ground clearance. So this in its highest ride height setting has more ground clearance than a Raptor with 37s. Just take that in for a second. And then you've got this plastic molding here that continues around the fender flare. We have our Rivian logo there on the side, and then it continues all along the side here of the R1T. You guys can see we've got the pop-out door handles. When you do lock the truck, they do fold in. So if I lock it, you can see that it folds in and it's all flush, and it just has this really cool look to it. And then this is like the normal ride height setting, if you guys are wondering. This is what you'll kind of drive it around in most of the time, which I know it looks tucked, but it's supposed to help out with ride quality and handling. So we're over here with the key fob again because we are lowering down the tailgate. So we have a payload capacity of 1,559 pounds and a towing capacity of 11,000 pounds. I know, it's just absolutely insane. And there's a lot happening back here. So first off, you can lift up this portion right here, which is kind of interesting. And when you actually raise the tailgate, notice how it kind of goes up onto it. It's, again, an interesting thing. But another way to lower down the tailgate is right here. And then you can press this for the tonneau cover to fold that back. So yeah, kind of interesting with that whole setup. And this does have an air compressor built in, and part of the system is over here, so you guys can see right there. So that's so you can air down your tires and then air them back up. And then on the other side, we have some outlets here in the bed as well. Notice it says Rivian there. Now the next thing is this trunk. So you've got this latch right here that you press, and then that'll pop it open. And just like the Honda Ridgeline, it has more storage space underneath. So even though this isn't a massive bed, and see if we can get that to lock in, even though it's not a massive bed, I mean, it's just super practical with all of the stuff that you can do to kind of like, I guess, extend the bed and then go underneath the bed and all that fun stuff. And then let's actually see if this will raise it back up. I guess you have to lift this up yourself. No big deal. There you go. Now finishing things up here with the rear, we have another gigantic light bar here in the back, Rivian logo, R1T badge down below, and then we've got parking sensors here on the rear, and you can see the little camera, and cameras are a theme with this truck. I'll show you guys some of the cameras in just a second. And then here's a look at the rear with the, well, a little bit what we can see with the suspension. Notice it's mostly smooth underneath for aerodynamic efficiency. But yeah, there's a lot of cameras here on this truck. You guys can see that there is a camera right here. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't. Cameras on the mirrors, like there's literally cameras everywhere with the truck. And now let's get into the tunnel. So now to fully unlatch the gear tunnel, there's this button up here that you press, and then that'll let you unlatch this and then roll it down. And then you guys can see we've got this little storage cubby here. This is part of the air compressor system that comes with the R1T. And of course we have the whole gear tunnel set up. So it's pretty cool. I mean, it just adds to the practicality. And you guys will see you can access it from the interior. And then when you're done, you just have to push this up and then just kind of push it in, and then it gets latched all the way. And then we'll pop over to the other side so I can show you guys. So again, look at this. So can't open it. Press the button and then it'll pop right down. And then you guys can see again, same thing with the tab. You can pull this up. We got the first aid kit here on the other side. Pretty cool with the overall setup. And then you can see again with the interior here. And then notice the little cargo mat right there. But yeah, interesting thing in a pickup truck. Now anyways, continuing to the interior, I really like the layout of the interior. So you guys can see we've got a bunch of padding with stitching all throughout here on the interior. You can see the wood trim as well with the graining, and then your window control right here. And just really nice material use. Meridian sound system, which definitely a big plus. They always make good sound systems. And then you can see this little storage pocket right here. And then the same thing with the seats. I love how the seats look. You can see with the piping and the stitching. And then again with the Rivian logo. And then notice it's perforated here in the center. Again, they did a really good job with designing the seats. And then there's no grab handle, interestingly enough. But it does have air suspension, so you could lower it down. But anyways, legroom. So it's actually pretty spacious back here. And look, you got a little like coat hanger right there. And then again, look at the, I love the trim here. And look at this, we got some, look at this. The key fob's a carabiner, and you got more stuff happening back here. I really like how they've kind of done this. And then notice here we have the rear display to control the climate zone here in the rear as well, which is pretty cool. We do have heated seats back here on top of that. So again, a bunch of nice luxury features. Now we have to go over the coolest armrest in the car industry. We've got some cup holders here. You've got some extra storage space, but the cool thing about this armrest situation is behind it, we have even more access to the whole gear tunnel situation. And so, yeah, I don't know, I think that's pretty cool that you can access the gear tunnel from two different areas. Now here's the front door panel. You guys can see again with the padding, and then notice the trim here that goes all across, and then down below, and then you can see the metallic trim here. Again, looks fantastic. All of our window controls, and then the mirrors do have blind spot monitoring, and then another speaker for the Meridian sound system, and then a little storage pocket right here. And then the front seats, just as cool as the rear seats. You can see again, notice the Rivian logo right there, and then perforated all down the center. You've got your power adjustments here on the side. Pedal layout down below, which looks really nice. And then look at this again, stitching here, like just the design here, and then the material use is fantastic. But let's pop in. So here is the steering wheel in the R1T. You can see again, material use around the steering wheel feels really good. And you got the stitching there on the center portion, and then I love the trim here around the steering wheel. And then notice with the Rivian logo. Now you notice that these controls aren't labeled at all. That's because they can control different things. So right now it's set to do the radio volume. But basically, just like what you have with Tesla, you can adjust a bunch of things with these two controls on the steering wheel. Depending on what you have, it's set to there with the center screen. So yeah, pretty cool setup and minimalistic looking. Almost forgot, we got our turn signal windshield wiper stock, and then we have our gear selector right here. And you guys can see you also have the integration of the steering assistance and everything. But there you go. Now here is the center display. Notice you got the navigation there off to the side, and then you have a little graphic here of the R1T, and then it lets you know what gear you're in. And then you can see the range that we have right now as well. And I'm glad they have a center screen here, unlike what Tesla does. And then again, notice the trim around it, and then also here on the dash as well. Definitely looks really high quality. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, we pop it into reverse. You've got a backup camera with trajectory lines that do turn with the steering wheel, and you guys can see the different camera viewpoints. Pretty awesome from that perspective. And I love how it like labels what you're seeing. So yeah, I think they did a good job from a camera perspective. Now, we got the climate controls. Just press this and it'll pull that right up. There's an update waiting, so that's why it keeps pulling that in the front screen if you guys are wondering. Heated steering wheel. We got heated seats, cooled seats as well. And it's just cool how you like actually direct the airflow here. with the vents. So if I want more airflow towards me, I just press that and then it'll automatically adjust the vents to then turn to do that. So I don't know, I think that's pretty neat. It might be a little bit gimmicky, but anyways, you got this shortcut bar here at the bottom. Notice you have the charge port, which is very interesting as well. We'll see if this one actually opens. So we'll press that, and it did. It's there off to the side. So we'll look at that in just a second. But notice everything's controlled via the touchscreen, pretty much just like in a Tesla. And then if we go down here, this is for like all the drive mode selects. So notice we have our all-purpose, sport, conserve, off-road, and then towing mode. And you can see the suspension, right? You can change that, and then also the brake regen, you can change that, and stability, you can also change that. And then for the air suspension, and notice it gives us the amount right there of clearance, which is really cool. And yeah, moving from that, you got the whole music tab. So like overall, great infotainment system. Response time is fantastic. It's easy to use, it's self-explanatory. And so I think that Rivian actually did a really good job with this. So here's a quick look at the charging port. You guys can see with it flipped open. Now don't try to actually close this with your hand. All you have to do is just pop back in your R1T and close charge port. And yes, it'll close by itself. So we kind of have a void here because, well, storage space. And you guys are probably wondering, what the heck is this? Well, it's a little speaker that you get with it so you can, you know, have fun with your tunes out in the middle of the wilderness. You've got a, you know, carry-on speaker. So you can go, like, you can take your truck out to the middle of nowhere and go on a hike. And that's not the only strange thing they have. So Rolls-Royces will have an umbrella. This, on the other hand, has a flashlight that it comes with that's in the door. So kind of interesting. I know I'm like popping in and out of the truck a bunch. But anyways, we've got the center console set up here. So you press this like little button here on the front and it unlocks it. And you can see it's really deep actually. Like it goes in really, really far, which is pretty cool. And then you can see the padding here on the top. Now the next thing to mention again is just look at the dash, and they won't let you forget that this is a Rivian. We don't have a glove box, which is kind of interesting. There's tons of storage in the truck, and there's a gear tunnel, but there's no glove box, interestingly enough. Unless I'm too stupid to find the latch or to find this button on the screen, I don't see anything. Anyways, you can see here, we've got our glass roof and really nice headliner. Actually, definitely makes us feel a little bit more upscale. Traditional mirror, and I love the grab handles. You guys can see. Again, just a lot of like outdoorsy materials thrown into the interior here with the R1T, which is pretty cool. Now, the original starting price on these R1Ts was in the $70,000 range. Rivian said they're going to increase the price a massive amount. People obviously got upset, and then Rivian pulled back. But on the used market, things are quite a bit different. I've seen several of these for sale in excess of $200,000. And so, yeah, there's definitely quite a bit of demand and not enough people, you know, having ordered this when it first came out. So, yeah, anyways, let's take it out and drive it. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility of the hood. Both the mirrors, which do have blind spot monitoring. Then throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. Oh, setting off in the R1T. And of course, I'm like last to film a review on one of these because, you know, I guess I'm not important enough to get invited out to Rivian's press launch events. But anyways, let's talk about how this drives. So first off, just like any other EV, when you have it in full regen, you're pretty much just doing one pedal driving. And that turn signal sound, it's interesting. But aside from that, really quiet actually. It's a super windy day, and noise insulation seems to be pretty good. Makes an interesting sound with acceleration. Yeah, really solid with the, I mean, it drives like a regular vehicle, frankly. It's really smooth though. That's something that I'm noticing is ride quality on this is exceptionally smooth. Yeah, going with those little manhole covers, it does great with that. Yeah, so you're pretty much just all the way on the pedal when you have it in the more aggressive regen mode, right? Which makes sense. So at higher speeds on a really windy day, it can get a little bit. Let me make sure the windows are closed. Yeah, so it's got similar wind noise to what you're going to expect in a regular pickup truck. But because you don't have an engine, it almost seems, you know, just like most EVs, seems a little bit louder. It has this like just continuous whirring sound. It's not obnoxious or anything, it's just interesting that it just has that. I'm gonna pop into the sport mode, and it'll actually lower the suspension when you pop into the sport mode to the lowest suspension. And so it won't be as comfortable. We'll see how fast this, oh yeah, too much regen. We actually gotta get on the accelerator pedal a little bit more just to get us all the way up. So the regen's really aggressive, which is great. We are getting up and moving here, and before we get our acceleration, I want to talk about seat comfort. So these seats are actually pretty firm, but they're really comfortable. I would actually really like sitting in these seats for a long period of time. I think they're great. So that's just partially on. Pretty good, pretty good. We'll see how it does going around this corner here. Ooh, interesting. So it kind of felt like it was hopping a little bit. I wasn't going around the corner like super aggressively or anything like that. But definitely can tell that it's really stiff in this lowest ride height setting. Let's actually see, let's put it to low. So we're gonna raise it up a little bit in the sport mode. Obviously that's not gonna be the best for aerodynamic performance, but it should help out with making it so it's less stiff from a suspension standpoint. But yeah, this is such a strange vehicle to drive so far. I like it though, definitely like it. So we're gonna like wait an extra second here because I know the acceleration is gonna be crazy. Ooh, yeah, wow. Okay, head rush. I know I didn't get like crazy up to speed, but wow, what a head rush. Okay, we're gonna wait another second. Okay. That is so quick for a truck. Now given, got 56 miles range, 55 miles range now. So I don't know if I'm getting the full like power, because usually electric cars, you have to have them fully charged to get all of the horsepower. But still, I mean, especially off the line, it punches really hard. And I mean, it's quick. It's definitely quick. Gonna pop it back into the all-purpose mode. I wanna see how it accelerates in the all-purpose mode comparatively. So we're kind of slow down here. We got someone behind us. Still aggressive, not as aggressive, but still aggressive. Actually, I had to use the brakes there. Okay, so getting up and moving again. I'm actually going to go through this little road here because this is kind of some, you know, not super curvy stuff, but a little bit so I can see with the handling. Ooh. Yeah, while we're kind of going through this to see the handling a little bit, kind of sum things up. Wow. So first off, from an exterior aesthetics perspective, I think it's a really good looking truck, actually. I'm impressed. I mean, obviously it's just out, so it definitely looks super unique, especially compared to other vehicles on the road. But I think that Rivian actually did a really good job of styling. Like, this is just my opinion, I hate how Teslas look. And so, you know, like I would never buy a Tesla just because of how they look. But this looks cool enough that I'm like, you know what? I would rock this. So I think they did a good job. I love the interior on this. They just 10 out of 10 from an interior perspective. And the driving experience is amazing. So yeah, I mean, it's just, there's so much to this truck. I thought that this was kind of like overhyped because every single car journalist was like, oh, the R1T is the best pickup truck ever made. I'm not sure if it really does take the crown as the best pickup truck ever made, but what I can tell you is it's an amazing EV. It's also an amazing truck. It just does so much. And I mean, yeah, there's a lot to this. Woo! Always gotta have fun with the acceleration. But yeah, I mean, I guess to just come full circle, this is such a cool vehicle. I mean, I think Rivian did a really good job. You know, obviously there's gonna be some first year, maybe second year quirks with it. But that being said, overall, you know, minus the first or second year quirks that you might get with this, I think that, you know, I think it's a job well done. And so once that's all kind of worked out, solid. That's gonna sum things up for our video on this 2022 Rivian R1T. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Southtown Imports here in Sandy, Utah for giving me some time with this R1T. Check out the inventory in the description down below. I will see all of you in the next video.